Okay, so today what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a look here at two lights. This is a SIRUI C300X II, and this is a C60X pocket video light. And the question I have when I looked at these, could this possibly be the single best travel lighting system I have ever encountered? And I'm gonna go ahead and spoiler alert this right now for you. The answer to that, for me personally, is yes. This is by far the most efficient system I've ever found for having a great travel light that looks great, that you can literally take anywhere you go. Now, the first thing I want to point out about this C300X II, it's got to be the form function. It's the thing that strikes you right out of the bat. And I have taken this now on airplanes with me. I've flown across the country with it. And I've just been really, really impressed with this form function because it does two things and it does them really well. One, this thing is small. And the second thing is it actually has a ton of light output, that 300 watt light output. It weighs 966 grams, or for an imperial guy like me, that's 2.1 pounds. So it's a very, very small form function. I'm gonna pull up another 300 watt light that I got here. So this is a Godox 300 watt light. I love this light, but I want you to notice the size difference here between it. These are both 300 watt lights. And look at this. You can fit one, two, basically three lights in one case in the space that it takes up for one 300 watt regular size light. Now, the best thing about having a light with this small form function, honestly, is just how versatile it is. Now, because it's only just over 2 pounds, you can put this on smaller stands. If you have smaller stands, you don't need big C stands, or you can also hang this up as a top light or side light. And there's a lot more safety component to it because it's not this heavy light that could fall down, crash, maybe hurt something. But don't let the size of this thing fool you. Just because it's small and compact, like I said, this thing packs a serious wallop. With 300 watts of output, this gives you a bare lamp luminance of 10,200 lux at 1 meter. And if you go ahead and if you put a reflector on here like this, this will give you 51,200 lux in 1 meter of distance. So this thing has all the light output that you expect from a standard 300 meter light. And what that means from a practical perspective is that this C300X now has enough power to use with multiple diffusion materials. And that is going to be really, really important because I find myself using 300 watt lights like this a lot in interview situations. As long as I'm not trying to completely overpower the sun, I find that 300 watts is a really, really great power for interview. And I even had a shoot that I did about a week and a half ago where I actually had a 60-inch softbox, shot this through 2 layers of diffusion, and I put my people in front of a giant window, and this thing was still enough to get me an effect that I needed to get. So small form function, a lot of power. And speaking of silk and diffusers and all that stuff for softboxes, even though this thing is super small, it has one other really, really critical thing for me personally, and I think for a lot of us out there, and that is this is a full-size Bowens mount. And that means you can use it with virtually an endless array of the accessories that you have. And as you can see, I have a full-size Bowens mount here, and it's a nice, slips right in there. It's a good, heavily constructed mount. I could easily put a 60-inch softbox on this and had no problem with this mount holding that weight. Okay, now the form function and the light output is going to be a very important consideration when you're talking about a travel light. There is one other option in there that I think a lot of people sometimes overlook, and it's a really, really important one. That is going to be the power options that you have in a travel light. And one thing that SIRUI did is they gave us 3 really, really good power options to work with this. Now, if you can see right here, this has a nice little kind of aviator type grip, and I can plug this in, and as you can see, if I plug it in, it slips right in, and it can kind of got a little screw component there that locks it in. So you're not going to be pulling this plug out of the wall. It's really, really secure and sits in there very well. But that is not the only option that they have. I'm going to go ahead and pop this off just so you can see it. They also gave us 2 other options. One, you can plug this right into a wall. The other thing you can do is you can actually power this with V-mount batteries. And they did this through kind of a really nice and ingenious way. They have this V-mount holder here, and what I love about it is in the kit you get a V-mount holder, and you also get this little super clamp right here. So what that means is you can literally sit there and you can just put this, click it right here on the side of a light stand, lock it in, and then slip the V-mounts right there. And they were also nice enough to give us this aviator pin to D-tap connector. And what I love about this is hooked up to stand, but it's a quick release. So look at that, pop. It just pops right out. You can literally have it on a stand, just keep this little hook attached to whatever stand you have out there. And then when you're really ready to go, you can just click your power source, click it right in, hook it up to your light, and you're ready to roll. Now, in addition to this V-mount stand, they actually have a third powering option, which is really cool. And that is these H99 Ultra or Pro battery grips. They have two different ones. Now, this is a 97 watt-hour battery grip. And what's cool about this is you can literally take something like this and hook it right here on the bottom. I'm gonna go ahead and hook it up just so you can see how fast it takes to go. And once I put this in there, this does two things. It serves as both a power source, I should say, a mobile power source for your light, and it also serves as a handle. So if you want to go out in the field, you can absolutely have this as a handle. It's nice and sturdy. It's not that heavy. I'm going to lock that in all the way. And if you look on the back here, this has a D-tap, so I can take that same D-tap cable that I would have used from a V-mount. I can plug it in right here into my light, and then I have a super portable power light source. It's basically like putting a battery here in the light. Now, just so you know, this H99 grip is an add-on. It doesn't come with a kit, but it's nice knowing you have such a nice, easy form function to go. This can be really good if you're doing like fast photography, or let's say you're in a situation where maybe you're in a crowded conference hall or wedding stuff. This gives you a great ability to have power on the go without having to think about it too much. All right, now that I've talked about the power options, the power, the form function, let's talk about some of the functions on the light in case you're wondering. Now, one nice thing that does come with this kit is you get this really, really nice handle that comes with it. And what I love is there is a 1/4-inch mount here on the top and on the bottom. And I just sort of let this thing kind of live here on my grip. But as you can see, it's not only a 1/4-inch, but it's actually got these little RA locating pins, and you have RA locating pins here on the actual handle itself. What I like about this handle too is I can also tilt the light backward and forward. It's got nice teeth in there, you can hear them going. And then I can lock that so I can have the angle flexibility that I want in a light stand like this. Okay, so let's go ahead now and cut this thing on so we can look at what's under the hood, because this light has some really, really nice features built in here to the light itself. Now, as I said, this is a 300 watt light, but the more important thing, this is a bicolor 300 light, which means it is very, very versatile. And this light has a range of 2500 Kelvin up to 6500 Kelvin. So really gonna cover almost every bicolor situation you're gonna need. And the most important thing about this, it's a very, very good light rendered light. It has a CRA of 96 plus and a TLCI of 97 plus. So that means that you have a situation that you're gonna get good skin tones, you're not gonna get weird color casts. Now, if you look on the back here, it is a pretty straightforward and simple design. You have 3 buttons. You have an on-off switch, you have a dial here to get the Kelvin temperature, and you have something here that can dim or bring it back. Now, as you can see, this thing, I'm gonna put this all the way down at 1% right here because this thing is super bright. But if I put this thing, I'm gonna just dial it up here all the way up to 100. I mean, this thing, whoo, that's really bright. This thing is obviously super bright. Obviously, I wouldn't have it this close, but you can see just how much range you can get from a light like this. Now, in addition to having this bicolor range, it does have FX built into it, and it has 12 basic FX that you would expect to have on any of these lights that come around these days. Now, in addition to the light controls itself, this has something that I would consider absolutely essential nowadays, and that it does have an app that comes with it. It has this SIRUI light app. I'm gonna go and open that up here right now just so you can look at it. And this basically does a good job of identifying this light. I'm gonna pop it on there real quick, and now you'll see right here, I have the light. I can cut it on and off, or if I want to come in here, now I can sit there and I can just start adjusting the brightness. I can adjust the color temperature. I can control the things that I want to get in there. If I want to come into the FX, here now you will start to see the FX. I can do like the candle, I can do a fire, TV, you kind of name it. All the basic FX that you'd want to get right there. Or if I want to, I can come back here now to my 3200 Kelvin mode. I'll put that there, and then maybe I want to bring that down just so I don't blow out the thing. So you can control everything here on the app itself. Okay, so as you can see, this C300X II packs a lot of really good form, function, power, and features that makes it a really, really just fantastic travel light to take with you. But it's when it's complemented with a sister light that is kind of designed to kind of go in conjunction with it that you really unlock what I would consider to have a really, really powerful travel and handheld lighting dynamo. And this right here is the SIRUI C60X. Now, the first thing you'll notice about this thing is super, super compact and small. I mean, I'm gonna bring out my phone here just so you can see it. And you can see here that this thing is essentially about the size of a phone. It's actually a little bit shorter than my phone. Obviously, it's thicker, but this thing is a great little handheld device that packs a lot of versatility. Now, obviously, as the name 60X implies, this is a 60-watt light, so you're not going to get all the power you would get from this, but this is really, really good for accents, kickers, hair lights, and other aspects like this. And one thing to know about this light is it's got this sort of mini SIRUI mount there, and it comes with, what I really like about this, it comes with this little lens right here. It's like a little focusing lens. So if you put this on there, it's super easy to get on there. And then this thing has a nice kind of almost Fresnel type look, giving you a very pleasing look right out of the gate. And if you just want to soften that up, it does come with this little gel cap that, just look at this, it slips right on it. It's that fast. And now you have a situation, you can get a little more diffuse spread light source from it. Now, to use this light, it's pretty simple. This thing is battery operated, so it's got a side switch here. And if you get that side switch, you'll notice it's got a dial. You just got to dial that to unlock it. And once you unlock it, you are good to go, just like you would any other battery operated light. Now, it does have a USB-C power input, so if you need to, and you have a USB-C out option, you can power that, so you have that. But this is really designed more or less to be a light, you know, battery operated rig. And of course, you can operate this with the same app that you can the C300X, and it gives you the same 12 effects, and basically it operates exactly the same. Now, one thing to note about this is that because this is not a full-size Bowens mount, you have to use minor lights, but what is nice is SIRUI does have this SR-BM-A01 Bowens mount adapter. So what I can do now is I can basically take this right here, I'm just gonna slip it on, and boom, now I have a full-size Bowens mount. So if I were to take, say, my reflector dish right here, well, check this out. I can easily sit there, I can pop that on there, and now I have a full-size Bowens mount adapter that I can put on this. But what's really cool about the C360X is that if you don't have any Bowens mounts modifier, SIRUI actually makes a modifier that's designed specifically for this SIRUI native mount. And that is this SIRUI QR40 softbox. Now, as you can see, it's got a SIRUI mount. This is not a Bowens mount, but what I love about this, check this out. It is a snap lock. So you have a softbox, you pull it out of a bag, and check this out. Boom. That's how fast it takes to put together. You want to break it down, you're done with the shoot, boom. Pops right out. Now I'm going to take this right here and just show you just how fast I can line it on there, and boom, that's how fast it takes to put it on. And now what you have is you have a great little softbox that's a perfect kicker light. Or if you are in an emergency situation, you could use this as a key light. I'm going to go ahead and just show you what this thing looks like. You know, I'm going to go ahead and put this up at here at say 100% just so you can see, and it's going to be a little bit closer than 3 feet. But as you can see, because it's got the grid and the silk, if you needed to in an emergency situation, you could probably use it like something like this at this. And just so you know, I'm filming at an f8 right now to do this, and it's still getting enough light to do that. That being said, I would still use this primarily as a kicker light. I think that's what it's designed for. But as you can see, this little thing is a portable, ready-to-go softbox that comes with a silk and a grid. And let's say you're done with the shoot, you just pop it off, close it up, boom, you are going home, put it in the bag, and you are good to go. Now, whenever I do any review, I always like to point out what I would consider any rooms for improvement, just so you're fully aware of any limitations that you might need to think about before getting a system. Now, as I said at the beginning, this system for me really is my favorite travel light system I've ever really encountered. Really, the main thing that I would point out, and I don't know if this is a situation because these are pre-production models, I just found that the app for this, it works fine. I mean, once you get the app hooked up, it links up to this super easy. It's really, really good. The only thing I discovered is that if I cut this light on and did it, is the app, when it cut on, would not recognize the settings that I had in there. I would have to basically reset it in the app. And then once I did it, it would always work fine. I just don't know if that's because this is a pre-production model and it hasn't gotten linked into the SIRUI app a little bit. So I would say the SIRUI app, it works great. Once you get it dialed in, it's completely fine. But it's that first time cutting on, I did notice was a little bit, it just didn't have, like if I had this at 15% and I cut on my SIRUI app, it wouldn't recognize this at 15%. It would basically, I'd have to go and reset it again. So that's something I think is easily fixable in a firmware update, but it is the one thing that I did notice that kind of just threw me off just a little bit in this system. Okay guys, so there you go. That is the SIRUI C300X II and the C60X as well. In my opinion, this is the best portable lighting handheld kit I have come across just due to its really, really good power, impressive power, and its really nice form function. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Leave me notes and comments down below. And yeah, go out there, keep on shooting, and yeah, I'll talk to you soon.